You ever watch a moment in sports and just know you're witnessing the start of something bigger than the box score? That's what this whole storyline feels like. It's not just about a quarterback competition or a coach's depth chart decision. No, this is about identity, about grit, and about one young man standing tall in the middle of noise, doubt, and expectation. His name is Sanders, and if you've been paying attention, you can feel it. He's not just waiting for his chance, he's preparing to change the story. Because here's the reality, the second-string job in Cleveland is still wide open. Reporters ask him straight to his face, "Are you still competing for that number 2 role?" And Sanders, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't get defensive, he just smiles and says, "Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'ma play." Adversity knocks you down, but the main thing is you push through it. I'm playing for more than just me. That wasn't just an answer, that was a mission statement. And before I dive all the way in, let me tell you this, I've got something special lined up for my viewers. I'm giving away an official jersey to one of you, completely free. All you've got to do is drop a comment below and make sure you're subscribed. That's it. I'll be pulling a winner from the comments and subscribers right before the first regular season kickoff. So if you've ever thought about joining this community, now's the time. Hit that subscribe button, leave your take in the comments, and you might just be repping a brand new jersey when the season begins. Kevin Stefanski laid it out for everyone. Joe starts, Dylan gets the next crack, and Sanders is sitting at number 3. And you'd think that kind of announcement might rattle a young quarterback. You'd think it might break his confidence. But Sanders, he's built different. He doesn't waste energy on titles or labels. He doesn't live in the world of what people call him today. His focus is on the moment when the lights are at their brightest. And when that moment comes, he's already told us what's going to happen. He'll shine brighter than anyone else on that field. That's confidence you can't manufacture. That's fire that can't be faked. He's not worried about how many practice reps he gets. He's not counting snaps. He's not pacing at night replaying his coach's words. His belief is unshakable. When the real games matter, when the crowd is roaring and the pressure feels like it's crushing down, that's when he'll step up and show the world exactly who he is. And here's the part that really separates him. This isn't just about Sanders. He made it clear. I'm playing for a lot more than just me. He's carrying more than his own name. He's carrying his family, his supporters, his city, and everyone who's ever believed in him. That's a different kind of motivation. That's not ego. That's responsibility. And that's what keeps him moving forward no matter the setbacks. Look back at his journey. High school, college, now the pros, it's always been the same. He doesn't complain about pain. He doesn't make excuses. He pushes through. Even when his body wasn't at its best, he found a way to execute. That's what defines him. That's why he's here. And lately, you can see the growth in him. He talks about patience now, gratitude. He calls it a blessing just to step onto the field, to practice, to compete at this level. That perspective, it makes him dangerous. Because when you combine raw talent with patience and humility, you don't just get a player, you get a force of nature waiting for the right moment to break loose. We saw flashes of that force in his most recent training session. Early on, he was shaking off the rust, feeling out the rhythm after his injury. But then it happened, that throw. A single play that silenced every doubt, every question. Poise, accuracy, timing. It wasn't just a touchdown pass, it was a statement. A reminder of why his name carries weight. A reminder of why teammates trust him. A reminder of why coaches are watching closely and why critics are starting to get nervous. Because that throw, it wasn't luck. It wasn't just practice. It was proof of preparation. Proof that Sanders isn't just showing up, he's building something bigger. The kind of pass that makes teammates nod, coaches take notes, and skeptics start second-guessing their own words. And when Dylan Gabriel made his comments, Sanders could have snapped back. He could have stirred the pot. But instead, he stayed calm, grounded. He said he doesn't dwell on it because God gave him the strength to rise above that noise. And maybe on the surface, it looked like he brushed it off. But if you were really watching, if you studied his body language, you saw it. He knew exactly what those words meant. He just chose to turn them into fuel. Quiet fire. The kind that doesn't burn out when the headlines fade. The kind that keeps you locked in, day after day until your moment arrives. That's the difference. Some players hear the chatter and crumble. Sanders hears it and builds. He stacks every word, every doubt, and every setback into the foundation of his next performance. So you can call him third string, you can say he's unproven, you can dismiss him as a backup. But here's what you can't ignore. Sanders has already told us how this story ends. When the lights blaze the brightest and the pressure feels unbearable, he's going to rise. And when that moment comes, there won't be any debate left. Everyone, coaches, teammates, fans, critics, they'll all see what he's been saying all along. I am who I am, and when it's my time, I'll prove it. You ever notice how some athletes just seem to carry a different kind of weight? Not just on their shoulders, but in the way they move, the way they speak, or even in the way they refuse to speak. That's Sanders right now. He's living in the middle of one of the loudest, most cutthroat narratives in the league, and yet he doesn't flinch. He doesn't crack. He doesn't even blink. Because he understands something most people never figure out. The real answers aren't found in press conferences. They're not in the sound bites. They're not in the endless debate shows. The answers will come under the lights, on the field. In those moments when the whole stadium holds its breath, waiting to see if the kid they doubted has the courage to rise up and silence the noise. And deep down, Sanders knows that's where his voice is the loudest, between the white lines. When I heard him talk about it, it struck me. He said, honestly, I don't even think about that stuff. I don't think about anything outside of my control. Words, comments, that's just air. God gave me this ability, this power, so why would I waste it worrying about what other people say? Man, think about that. That's not a rookie rattled by pressure. That's a young man centered in something bigger than himself. That's focus forged in fire. And it tells you everything you need to know about why Sanders isn't just another name on the depth chart. He's a story waiting to be written. Because here's the truth, and we all know it. The same people dragging his name right now are going to be the first ones shouting his praises when he finally breaks through. That's the game. That's the business. When you're down, they bury you. But when you rise, they scramble to pretend they believed in you all along. And right now, one man in particular has planted his flag on the wrong side of history. Colin Cowherd. And let me just say this, Cowherd isn't holding back. He's not just skeptical of Sanders, he's almost gleeful about the chance to tear him down. He's already crowned Stefanski's move, elevating Dylan Gabriel to QB2 while pushing Sanders down to third string as the smart, safe decision. He frames it like it's evidence of Stefanski's genius, one of the top coaches making a cold, calculated call. But listen closely to his tone. It's not just analysis, it's dismissal. It's almost as if he wants Sanders to fail. And that's not enough for Cowherd. No, he keeps twisting the knife. He points out how half the league needed quarterbacks, how a dozen teams were desperate for backups. None of them chose Sanders. Then he hammers the draft narrative. Gabriel in the third, Sanders in the fifth. The league has spoken, he says, as if draft night is the final word on anyone's career. And then the kicker. He suggests the only reason Sanders even ended up in Cleveland was because Jimmy Haslam pushed for it. In Cowherd's telling, Sanders isn't a competitor. He's a charity case. That's the noise swirling around Sanders right now. And for most players, it would be suffocating. For most players, it would eat at their confidence, gnaw at their preparation, and slowly erode their focus. But not here. Not this time. Because Sanders refuses to let the outside world write his story. He lets his game speak. And if you've been paying attention at practice, you've seen it. Even coming back from injury, Sanders wasted no time reminding everyone what he's capable of. A laser touchdown pass, threaded between defenders with the kind of precision that makes you sit up and say, wait a second, this kid is different. Poise in the pocket, confidence in his reads, and that look in his eyes, the one that says, I don't care what you think, watch me. That's how Sanders fights back. Not with words, not with social media posts, with throws, with execution, with moments that can't be spun by talk shows or dismissed by critics. And let's not gloss over his maturity. Because in a league where emotions run high and egos run wild, Sanders stands out for how grounded he is. He doesn't lash out, he doesn't take cheap shots back at Gabriel, at teammates, or even at the media. He leans on faith, on discipline, and on the belief that noise is part of the process. That's wisdom beyond his years. That's leadership before the title of starter is ever handed to him. So when Cowherd calls him a fifth rounder like that's a scarlet letter, Sanders shrugs it off. He knows draft position doesn't determine destiny. He knows history is littered with late-round picks and overlooked players who turned into legends. And he's not trying to win the argument today, he's building for tomorrow. Because success in this league isn't about where you were drafted. It isn't about how quickly people recognize your name. It's about how well you prepare when nobody's watching, how much you endure when everything feels stacked against you, and how fiercely you perform when the chance finally comes. And here's what I see in Sanders, a player who embodies perseverance, preparation, and performance. He's living proof that resilience matters more than ranking, that faith matters more than criticism, that focus matters more than noise. Mark my words, the moment is coming. The day will arrive when Sanders isn't just a backup, isn't just a question mark on the depth chart. And when it does, his play will speak louder than every critic combined. The journey ahead won't be easy. It's filled with challenges, setbacks, and obstacles meant to break weaker men. But Sanders has already shown he's built for it. His patience is paying dividends, his discipline is setting the foundation, and his fire, that quiet, steady fire, is what will carry him through. So now I'll ask you, because I want to hear it. Do you believe Sanders' patience is going to pay off? Do you think the criticism fuels him, or do you think he blocks it out completely? And when that moment comes, when the spotlight can't be ignored, do you believe Sanders has what it takes to rise above and prove himself in this league? Because I'll tell you right now, everything I've seen, everything I've heard, everything I've felt watching him, tells me this isn't just another quarterback story. This is the beginning of something bigger, and I'm betting on Sanders.